Hello internet friends, hope you're doing well. If I'm a bit out of breath and sweaty, it's because I've been out jogging today, so I thought I would do a little bit of a vlog. I'm not sure exactly who this vlog is for, what the audience might be for it. Probably someone like me, who's not necessarily a runner or a jogger, and not particularly physical. But over the last 6 months, I started jogging, and I wanted to talk about how beneficial I've found it. Maybe like me, you're coming from the perspective of like not being a particularly sporty person, or having hobbies that are kind of sedentary, maybe in front of the computer. I'm thinking primarily about playing games. But when you're younger, you can kind of get away with that, right? In your teens, certainly in your 20s, and maybe throughout your 30s. But then as you approach 40, you can start to notice that the things that you could do, maybe the things that you were not doing, you didn't even realize you were not doing them, like because your body is so able to cope with what you put into it and what you maybe neglect it, and the body will keep going. But as you get older, you start to notice, putting on weight. Maybe like me, start to notice, in the evening, when I'm going to bed, there's kind of tightness in my chest. Never had that before. Wonder what that could be. You start to think, I wonder if it's to do with the fact that I do absolutely no physical exercise, or think about what I eat, or do anything to kind of contribute to my health and well-being. That revelation came. I've only been jogging for the last 6 months, but prior to that, for 12 months, so I've been going about 18 months now. Doing a quick load of maths in my head. But the first 12 months, I really went from doing nothing to starting to walk. Walking pretty solidly most days for maybe 7 miles, but nothing more than a walk. So, and I noticed a big difference. To give you an idea of how it's contributed to me, before I started walking, so 18 months ago, I was 14 stone 7. Now I'm down to 12.11, so I'm close to having lost 2 stone at this point. And I would say a half of that was to do with just having gone from doing nothing to walking, say 7 miles every other day, on the conservative side. So I lost a stone doing that. And then I noticed it begin to plateau, and realised maybe I need to step it up now. I've lost as much as I'm going to lose just walking. I need to start jogging, and that was true. So I've been jogging for 6 months now, and I've lost nearly another stone. So it's definitely having an effect. I wanted to convey that because I'm definitely a person who maybe had some bad experiences at school. I never liked the competitive nature of sports at school. I never liked the pressure of having to perform in, a game of football. I never really I'm not competitive. I am competitive in certain things, but certainly not with friends and playing sports and stuff. And I think at some point that translated to a sense of all physical activity. Exercise is not for me. And that's persisted throughout my life. But luckily I had a kind of a fairly physical job, not hugely labouring or anything like that, but I was definitely on my feet most of the day when I was working, or night if I was working nights. And I went from that to doing a very sedentary thing most of the day, and that's when I really noticed, and that was in my late 30s. So it all culminated in my late 30s, where I'd not been doing any regular exercise throughout my life. I also went from a physical job to a more sedentary job, and really started to notice. So I guess in this blog I'm hoping to communicate to people who are maybe a little bit like me and feel like exercise and physical stuff is not for you, because you've never done it throughout your life. Maybe you didn't enjoy it in your early part of your life, and you think it's not for me. And certainly when I started doing this, as I say, 18 months, 2 years ago, I really felt out of place. I felt very kind of judged by the people who are regular walkers. I felt very silly when I was, more recently, when I'm jogging past people, like I'm an imposter. You know, I'm this fat, pudgy bloke, and all these physical people running past me and people judging me and stuff. But it didn't take long until I really felt like, no, I belong out here. And now it's one of my favourite things that I do in my life, and I would really recommend it if you can start doing it a little bit more regular. I'm sure people who do this on the regular feel like what I'm saying, 7 miles jogging or walking, that's nothing. For someone like me, it is something, and it's very important. The other thing that I wanted to mention is not just the physical benefits. Like I say, I had high blood. I should also mention, as well as being overweight, I had a high blood pressure, and I went to the doctors for something else, and they located this high blood pressure and said you need to do something about this, either your diet or something, exercise. That was actually about 4 years ago, and I never did anything about it. But we did my blood pressure, we do it regularly now after me running, and my blood pressure is great. So that was all to do with weight and exercise. It's that funny thing of kind of you don't realise the benefits until you do it. I didn't realise, as well as the physical benefits, the mental benefit of going out and doing this every day. It's been massive. And I really didn't think that being a kind of a person who's mostly up in their head, doing a job that's in front of the computer, all my hobbies, games and other creative endeavours involve being in front of a computer and sitting on your butt. What's the benefit of doing that exercise with regards to that intellect or imagination, creativity? How does it factor in? Being fit doesn't affect that. It does. I wish I knew this earlier in my life. I feel mentally more alert. I feel more energized. I feel more positive. I feel just better about myself and about life in general. So I can't understate the kind of mental benefits to doing something like this. And that's all I wanted to communicate, really. I think a lot of the time when you're doing vlogs, you're kind of talking to yourself almost in a way, and I feel like in this vlog I'm talking to my past self and maybe trying to convince my past self to start doing it sooner. I mean, in terms of age and the aging process, the sooner you start doing this, the better. Imagine if I'd been doing this my entire life and I'd been doing this in school or maybe in my early 20s. I would be a lot further on now, so maybe if you're in that position, don't put it off. It's beneficial in so many different ways. And in life, if you've observed this, I've certainly observed this, that on a daily basis, no matter what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to do, you don't necessarily make progress on a daily basis. Maybe you'll have a day where you're just going through the motions. It doesn't feel like every day you're achieving something. Maybe you make progress over a long stretch of time, but daily, what can you point to that's an achievement that makes you feel good? Doesn't necessarily happen every day, but doing something like a run or a jog in my case, not quite up to sprinting yet, is something that you can do every day that affects you mentally, gives you a positive feeling about yourself. It's an achievement that you've done each day, and that can be massively beneficial. I don't feel like I know enough to give people any kind of advice at this stage on how to do it. I'm really a new starter at this, but don't do what I did. I made this mistake and ran out, and because I was out of breath and couldn't do it, I initially gave up. And then that was because I was trying to do, so remember again, so the last time I did anything regular physical, I was a lot younger and I could do stuff out of the gate very easily. And then you come back to it and think you can return to that point where you were all those years ago. And of course you can't, you have to build up to that. So take it slowly, that's all I'm saying. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't sprint out of the door because you'll get demoralized when you can't maintain it, and that's really helped me. So now I kind of my attitude is just go steady and build it up over time, and that's certainly worked for me. So if you're thinking about it, maybe consider doing that. Anyway, that's my vlog, and hugely beneficial. I don't know if I'll do another one of these, but do let me know if you enjoyed it, if it was helpful for you at all, and let me know your experience if you're a regular exercise person or you've just started. I'd love to hear from you. All right, take care and bye for now.